Hello, everybody. This is Bk International Talent Scout, RainierAvenueRadio.world. Rainier Avenue Radio is your community radio station and digital media hub. We are proud to serve Greater Seattle with opportunities to engage with critical issues, compelling stories, and quality entertainment. You will hear over 70 shows, including music, sports, local and national news, and talk shows, including political shows, current events with diverse languages. We are a 24/7 radio station, multimedia network dedicated to amplifying diverse voices of our community. Providers of digital media training and community members to become their own content creators, like BK Presents Radio Podcast, aired on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, Sundays at 8 a.m., 9:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., Mondays at 10:30 a.m., and Fridays at 9 a.m. This is BK International Talent Scout, host of BK Presents Radio Podcast on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Today, I'm going to be reading the 30-year history of Pastor Eugene and Jonette Lewis of Emerald City Seventh-day Adventist Church. They served as senior pastors of Emerald City Seventh-day Adventist Church for 30 years. And this information is coming from their program book. Welcome, friends of Pastor and Mrs. Eugene Lewis. A warm welcome to each of you. From near and far, we have come here to celebrate the momentous occasion of 30 years of pastoral ministry at the Emerald City Community Seventh-day Adventist Church. Pastor and Lady Lewis have served with distinction, integrity, and honor in this church, the city of Seattle, and around the world. In the broad spectrum of his service to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Pastor Lewis ministered as an evangelist in Africa, worked as a member of the Washington Conference Executive Committee, Regional Conference, worked as a member of the Walla Walla University Board member, church builder, administrator, mentor, counselor, and teacher. We have been blessed at Emerald City Community Church to have had the best and brightest years of a man of God with such stellar resume and talent. It is important to note the historical significance of this celebration. Pastor Lewis' anniversary day makes him the longest serving pastor at the same church in the regional work ever. Pastor Lewis and the lines of partnership in this magnitude have never been done before. We may not see it again soon. Like Irvin Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan, Pastor Lewis was counted to join other teams, but chose to win where he already was, and God has blessed to the glory of God. This occasion provides a forum for us, the Emerald City Community Seventh-day Adventist Church and family, as well as the Seattle community and wider conference family, to express our appreciation for Pastor Lewis. We welcome you, his family and friends and colleagues, Without your presence, this farewell would not be complete. That is the present pastor of Emerald City doing a welcome, and his name is U.E. Hepburgs Jr. Let's find out about the amazing life, 30 years of pastoring, the overview and life ministry of Eugene Lewis. Growing up in Nebraska, growing up in Omaha, Nebraska. Wow. I think this deserves a round of applause. All right, are you ready for the overview life of Pastor Eugene Lewis? Growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, Eugene Lewis began his life in Omaha, Nebraska as the 11th child of 15 children born to D. Arthur and Rosie Lee Lewis. His spiritual journey traced back to kindergarten, with his mother often reminding him God's favor was upon him. At the age of 8, he and his brother Michael got jobs as paper boys. However, the money the two of them earned fell short of meeting their personal needs. Looking for opportunities to earn extra money, he would scout out homes on his paper route that needed their lawns cut in the summer and their sidewalks shoveled in the winter. The additional funds he earned were used to purchase the things his parents could ill afford. Eugene Lewis worked his job as a paper boy during his adolescent years. The summer was reserved for working at Camp Sheldon, 3 hours away from home. Unbeknown to Eugene, God was beginning to make himself known as he would go about his work as a stable hand, caring for horses and taking young children horseback riding on the camp trails. Eugene often found himself thinking about things his mother shared with him about God. Whenever the headmaster gave him time off from his duties, he would go canoeing and swimming and fishing. However, what he enjoyed most was riding alone with his thoughts upon his favorite horse along the northern Pallet River miles away from the camp. Introduction to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. One day after arriving home from camp, he learned that Sharon Seventh-day Adventist Church had planned a crusade for the fall. The crusade would take place within walking distance from his home. Days later, 2 Bible workers from the Sharon Church stopped by the Lewis home. Mrs. Lewis invited them in. After some brief small talk, they asked her if she knew about the Sabbath. She told them no. The Bible workers asked her if she would be interested in taking Bible study. She told them yes. She then instructed the Bible workers to give her son Eugene, who just entered the room, the Bible lessons too. Study the lessons on her behalf. The Bible workers told Eugene they would come back the following week to see how he was coming along. Shortly after the Bible workers left, Eugene remembered there was a picture of Jesus hanging on the living room wall with the world on his hands. Beneath his hands was a phone number with instructions for how to order Bible lessons. Eugene did not trust the Bible workers or their lessons. So in secret, he called the number on the picture and requested his own Bible lessons. Years later, he discovered that the lessons he ordered were from the Voice of Prophecy, the same publishing house that printed the lessons the Bible workers gave him. Surely, God was making himself known. Family joins the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Eugene, as a young man, studied both sets of lessons and found that there wasn't much difference between two lessons, but never told anyone his first impression. The Bible workers made their visits as promised. They graded the lessons they gave him and found that he understood the material quite well. At the conclusion of the final lesson, Eugene Lewis, his mother, and the Bible workers were anxious to know especially what this young man was going to do with what he learned from the lessons. Mrs. Eugene was anxious to know the answer to the Sabbath question as well. So she posed the question to her son. If the Sabbath was Saturday, he answered by saying, I believe so. Not satisfied with that answer, she asked him a second time, Eugene, is the Sabbath Saturday? This time he answered, I'm pretty sure it is. Still not satisfied, she asked him third time, Eugene, is Saturday the Sabbath? And does the Bible say so? Yes, mother, according to the Bible. Saturday is the true Sabbath. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. We believe what the Bible teaches and not what man says about the Bible. And without hesitation, Mrs. Lewis, in the presence of the two Bible workers, told Eugene to go tell Reverend Thomas from the Corinth Baptist Church to take the family name off his church roll. Upon learning the Lewis family were leaving his church, Reverend Thomas was hot as fish grease, lost the largest, most faithful family in his congregation. The Bible workers were waiting for Eugene to return from Reverend Thomas' office, were elated. Mother told them we would be joining the sharing Seventh-day Adventist Church. Eugene, who was 12 at the time, his mother, and 4 of his siblings were baptized September 21st that year by Pastor Don Crowder. Little did Pastor Crowder know that the boy was being baptized would succeed him someday as pastor of the Emerald City Seventh-day Adventist Church in Seattle, Washington. God was with him and would continue to reveal to him. Basketball career in the United States Air Force. Eugene Lewis enjoyed Sabbath school. He was an avid reader, good student, excellent in sports. In his journey during high school and junior high school, he was offered a basketball scholarship to college if he would transfer high schools. Little did he know that his decision to transfer put him closer to his future wife, Jonette. Both he and Pi went to the same grade school, but didn't know each other again until he transferred. One morning while she was on her way to class, they saw each other once again. Eugene, having done well academically his freshman through junior year of high school, left with one class to finish in his senior year. The extra time he had on his hands was spent playing basketball and getting acquainted with Pi. Pi's father pastored the local Tabernacle Church of God in Christ. To win the two of them over, Eugene would go to her church on Sunday, and she would go to his church on Saturday. This became their practice during 4 years they dated until Eugene left college and played basketball for the United Air Force. Eugene excelled on and off the basketball court in the Air Force. He started out as a guard on the basketball team. As a player and later coach, he won 4 championships, 4 scoring titles, and an MVP award after scoring 52 points in the Air Force Base Basketball All-Star Game. Off the court, he was promoted below the zone and achieved the rank of E5 Staff Sergeant within 3.5 years. A major achievement when you consider some of the servicemen retire after 20 years of service at that rank. Notwithstanding, he was given the opportunity to realign as a commissioned officer and the rank of first lieutenant. However, he turned down offer twice because he didn't join the Air Force to make it a career. He joined because basketball gave him an opportunity to take care of family and to do something he loved to do. When basketball was over, he reasoned, so was his time in the Air Force. It took Mary and Pi having their first son and expecting their second son before he started to plan a life together after basketball. While stationed at Fairchild Air Force Base in Spokane, Washington, he began looking for a career move. Didn't take long. While reading the local newspaper, one particular article caught his attention. A black man named James E. Chase was running for mayor of Spokane. At the time, it was about 97% Caucasian. Eugene did some research and found his phone number. He called Mr. Chase. After a brief introduction, he made himself an offer he couldn't refuse. He told Mr. Chase that he didn't stand a chance in winning, but if he had the guts to run against those odds, that he would help him, and he would do it for free. Mr. Chase, who was more than twice his age, accepted the offer. The Lord was with the both of Mr. Chase, won the election, and Eugene was offered a job. However, the Lord had other plans for Pastor Eugene's life. Pastor Eugene Lois called to ministry. After the celebration and settling into his newly found success, Eugene was appointed treasurer for the Spokane River Park Board. The base commander of the Air Force Base gave him permission to work as a non-commissioned liaison officer on behalf of the base and the city of Spokane. The joy of his success didn't last too long, as Eugene sensed God calling him into ministry. He toyed with the idea in his mind. Yet the call grew stronger and stronger. So he decided to reach out to Mayor Chase to see what he thought of the idea. Mayor Chase told Eugene to drop by his office where they joked, and somehow Eugene would take Chase's office. They both launched, laughed, and then things got serious. Mr. Chase put his hands on his shoulder and gave a profound speech. Eugene, the boys, the power to be in a city like you. They saw what you did, helped me get elected, and they are willing to help you fulfill your dream. However, son, if you choose to do something other than God's will, you might have some success. But in the end, your political success will be without a real joy, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. You need that joy to be happy in whatever you choose to do in your life. Thus, Eugene started looking for an Adventist church to attend. He found a small company of Adventist believers worshiping on north side of Spokane. A year after he was interested, intense struggle with the Lord, he decided to heed the call and was baptized at New Hope Seventh-day Adventist Company Church in Spokane. His wife, Pi, joined him as Adventist believer a year later on Christmas 1982. Didn't take long. He was voted in by the company to serve as head elder and treasurer. As the company grew, Eugene caught the eye of Elder Jerry Patzer, then secretary of the Upper Columbia Conference. Seventh-day Advent. When Elder Patzer was voted in president, he invited Eugene to serve as the first Black African American to serve on the Upper Columbia Conference Executive Committee. He served on that committee from 1983 to 1986. During that time, he also pastored company churches in the Adventist Church before separating from the Air Force after 9 years of service in 1986. God was with him. Completing theology degree at Oakwood College. With the blessings and encouragement of both the Mayor Chase, Elder Pastor Eugene did not hesitate to do what he felt God was telling him to do. The day after he separated from the Air Force, he moved his family to Huntsville, Alabama, as he could study at Oakwood University to officially become a minister. They found a place not far from the campus. 6 weeks after being on campus, he was walking from college administration building to the religious complex, and two men drove up alongside him in a blue Dodge Aries. They stopped the car and asked him to get in. Eugene hesitated before he finally felt comfortable enough to get in. The two men in the car were Elder Charles Dudley and Eric C. Ward. These two men were pillars within the regional work in the North American Division of Seventh-day Adventist Churches. Elder Dudley spoke first. He told Pastor Lucas he was president of South Central Conference, and the Elder Ward had been watching him since the day he arrived on campus. He then told Pastor Lewis that Elder Ward liked the way he carried himself and wanted to become his associate pastor at Oakwood College Church. He went on to say that Elder Ward would be a great mentor. Pastor Lewis was surprised by the offer, but ever so grateful. Elder Ward told him he would be given a salary, tuition allowance to pay for his children to go to Oakwood Academy and church office. Surely God was leading the way. Pastor Lewis came from a small company in the Pacific Northwest and was given the second chair in the most prestigious African American Seventh-day Adventist church in the world. Moreover, he had Elder Calvin E. Mosley, who trained close to 75% of African American pastors, as his head elder and counselor. He had Charles Dudley, president of South Central Conference and dean among the 9 African American Regional Conference presidents, to look up to for wisdom and insight into what it means to be a strong leader. Notwithstanding, he had Elder E.C. Ward, the most respected pastor that could be found anywhere within the denomination, as his mentor and spiritual father and long life friend. A man who would not only hone Pastor Lewis' ministry skills, but he would also lay a foundation for his philosophy for life itself. What his mother told him as a child now made sense. God was watching over him and it showed him great favor. Well, this is the preaching life history of Pastor Eugene and Jonette Lewis, former pastors of Emerald City Seventh-day Adventist Church. Thank you for listening, and we'll do part 2 next week.